What's up, everyone? Happy Friday. This is another special edition of Clutch Sports Talk NFL Primetime Week 15 predictions. Got a great show in store for you guys today. We're going to go through all of the games. We got games tomorrow, obviously Sunday and Monday night. I'll have a special guest later on, Jack Ridenour. He's going to help me go over the primetime schedule for Week 15. So without further ado, let's get this show started. Let's go. Clutch Sports Talk NFL Primetime, presented by All Pro Digital Sports, the future in sports media content. Let's go. What's up, man? Welcome in. This is a special edition of NFL Primetime with me, Clutch Sports Talk. Hope you guys are ready, man. We're going to be going through all the games in blazing speed so we can get you ready if you guys are going to be placing bets, if you just want to get ready and get some information about these games for Week 15. A lot of action, a lot of games that are kind of like playoff potential type games, a lot of things that need to get discussed, a lot of information to get to. So let's just get straight into it. So we're going to share my screen with you guys so you guys can see what I see. And we'll get you guys ready for Week 15 action. Hope you guys are doing well. Make sure you hit that like and share button, and you make sure you drop some comments. Let me know what you guys are thinking. Hit me up on YouTube at Clutch Sports Talk, as well at the All Pro Digital YouTube page, and hit me up at Twitter at Clutch_Talk. You'll see that information all there below. Let's get into it. Yeah, let's do it, guys. Right? All right. So the first game I want to get into today, we got the Houston Texans. They're going to be traveling on the road. They're going to be heading over to Lucas Oil Field to take on the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts are, I believe, is minus 6.5 favorites, depending on what you're looking at. The over and under is 51. I like the Colts. The Colts are coming off a very dominating win against the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the Texans, they're limping into the end of the year. This team has no direction, no future in what they're doing other than Deshaun Watson. Who do they really have to help him out? I think this team is ready to pack their bags and hit Cabo or wherever they want to go in the offseason. They're going to be going fishing here shortly. The predicted score here is 20 to 32. This information is provided by oddshark.com. That's a good website if you want to. I'm shouting them out. But other than that, I do like the Colts in this game, pretty much to cover, at least by a touchdown for sure, easily. All right. Next game I want to get into is the Detroit Lions. They're going to be traveling to Tennessee. They're going to be taking on the Tennessee Titans. Excuse me. I think I messed that up. No, the Colts. Yeah, I got that right. I'm tripping. I thought I said the Colts. Anyway, the Detroit Lions, who are 5-8, they're still struggling. They're another team that's kind of, maybe some of their players are going to be battling for for positions on another team, or maybe for the new regime. Once they figure out who's going to be the head coach. There's some rumors that Louis Riddick, a sports analyst commentator for Monday Night Football from ESPN, he's going to be interviewing with the Detroit Lions for the GM spot. I kind of like it. I like Louis Riddick. If you don't know who he is, look him up. Very smart, articulate dude, knows his stuff. I believe he was like a senior scout for the Eagles and a few other teams in the NFL. I really like him. His football mind is impeccable. So other than that, but I do like the Titans. The Titans are looking pretty good. For the most part. Are they going to be a contending team here moving forward when we get to the playoffs? I don't think so. They don't have a pass rush. That's something that they just don't have. They went and tried to get Jadeveon Clowney earlier this year. Hasn't really worked out. Their offense is, basically catered around Derrick Henry, and that's cool and all. Their defense still, again, no pass rush. If they do the whole ball control thing, it can only get them so far, especially when they play against a potent team with a high offensive prowess like the Kansas City Chiefs. Even the Buffalo Bills can score the ball. So the Titans are kind of like a dark horse team, but I really don't like their chances going into this year. But hey, who knows? It all depends on who's playing the best football at the end of this month. And, they had that bad loss against the Browns. They bounced back last week. So we'll see what happens with them moving forward. The line on this game, Tennessee is 8.5 favorites. The over and under is 51.5. I can see this game kind of being a little bit ugly, but the lines are kind of surprisingly terrible. So I'm still going to take the Tennessee Titans to win this game on Sunday. Next game, we got the Chicago Bears heading over into the U.S. Bank Stadium to play the Minnesota Vikings. This one is a no-brainer to me. I do like the Minnesota Vikings to win this game. Dalvin Cook is going to be able to do some things against the Chicago Bears. It'll be close. The line on this one is 3, depending on what sportsbook you're looking at. I've even seen -6 for the Vikings. The over and under is 46. So I do like the under in this game for sure. It's a divisional game. It's going to be close. Now, the Bears can actually pull this game off. And you know what? I changed my mind. I probably will go with the Bears today. I probably will go with the Bears. And I know I got some Vikings fans out there who are like, really? Are you serious? You're going to change up just like that? Yeah, I changed up like that real quick. I just got a feeling that maybe even though Minnesota's looking pretty good, their offense, something about these divisional games, they're always a lot closer than what they seem. And I think I'll go with the Bears on this one for sure. We got the next game, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, lackluster win last week. They're going to be traveling to Atlanta. This one's going to be a lot closer than what people think. Tampa Bay is actually favored at -2. Some places I've seen 1.5. This might be my upset of the week. I'm going to go with the Atlanta Falcons. Raheem Morris is actually getting the Falcons to play a lot better. Now, their record doesn't show that. They're 4-9. I get all that. Tampa Bay really hasn't found their identity yet. They're still struggling to find out what they're going to do with the ball. Ronald Jones is out. I believe he was put on the COVID injured reserve list. Leonard Fournette was a healthy scratch last week, and I believe he might be activated this week, but who knows? Maybe he got the message last week. Maybe they'll be able to run the ball a little bit with him. But I do like the Falcons at home. They're playing a lot better, even though they're coming off a pretty hard loss against the Chargers last week, Sunday, on the road. A game in which they probably should have won if Matt Ryan doesn't throw 2 late picks. I do like the Atlanta Falcons in this game. So, all right, moving right along. We got the Seattle Seahawks traveling on the road to play the Washington football team. This one's actually going to be a really good game, I think. And you're like, how is that? Well, Alex Smith is out. He's not playing this week. Dwayne Haskins will get the start. Seattle Seahawks still struggling a little bit to find out their true sense on who they really are. And they do kind of struggle a little bit, especially when Russell Wilson is under duress and has to make a lot of plays. I love the Washington football team's pass rush. I think they're going to make a huge difference in this game. As long as Dwayne Haskins doesn't turn the ball over and plays pretty fairly, I kind of like the Washington football team. I really am liking this team. Seattle is favored in the game at -6. The over and under is 43.5. I do like the under, and I'll take the Washington football team to win this game. Moving right along, we got the Jacksonville Jaguars heading over to Baltimore at M&T Bank Stadium. They're going to be playing the Baltimore Ravens. The Jacksonville Jaguars are just that's another team we don't talk about too much as far as losing. They suck. They just suck. They've packed it in. They haven't won a game since week 1 when they beat the Colts, and I keep saying that every week, and they keep losing. Baltimore coming off a refreshing Monday night win with Lamar Jackson doing the whole Paul Pierce in the wheelchair, cramping, pooping, whatever he was doing. The Ravens are favored in this game at -11. The over and under is 48. I'll take the under. I don't know if will I take the Ravens to cover? I won't take the Ravens to cover. I won't. I don't think they'll win, but I don't think they'll score. I don't think they'll blow them out quite yet. Jacksonville is kind of a gritty team. They tend to lose close with the exception of last week. I think they're going to play a little bit better, but the Ravens will win, but they won't cover. All right. New England heading on the road to Miami. Miami coming off of kind of a weird game. It was a very interesting game. They were up 10 really quick. And then all of a sudden, the Kansas City Chiefs just kind of showed their championship pedigree. They just unloaded on them, 28 unanswered points. The defense looked very good in the beginning of that game. But they're playing in Kansas City, and we all know Kansas City likes to start late. New England still struggling. Cam Newton not getting it done. I believe he starts this game. I don't know if he finishes the game. He didn't finish against the Rams game Monday night, or Thursday night, whenever they played last week. Miami should win this game pretty easily, I think. But the odds makers have it really close. My notes here say that the Miami's only 2.5 to 1.5 favorites. I think Miami will cover. I think the over and under on this one is 41.5. I don't think it'll get that far, but I do like Miami to win this game. And I know someone very special who will know that I chose the Miami Dolphins to win this game. They know who they are. The next game, the San Francisco 49ers head over to Jerry's World to play the floundering Dallas Cowboys. Yes, that's my team, the floundering Dallas Cowboys. The Niners are favorite. This game was supposed to be on primetime, but it got flexed out because both teams, really, the Cowboys suck. and no one wants to watch them other than Cowboys fans. The 49ers are favored to win this game at -2.5. The over and under is 45. That win against the Cowboys that the Cowboys had last week or this past Sunday against the Bengals, I don't know. It's the Bengals. I'm not going to put too much thought into it. The Niners, to me, are a better team. I think they have better coaching. I think they have more grit and determination. I'm just looking for the Cowboys to continue to play hard. I don't know. But I'm going to take the Niners on this one on the road to win because they're favorite. They're the road dogs. The road favorites. So I'll take the 49ers to win this game. All right, moving right along still, we got the Jets and the Rams. This one's a no-brainer. The Jets have packed it in. Adam Gase is terrible. The Rams are looking pretty good. Their defense is getting after it. They're running the ball. Jared Goff looks pretty solid. The Rams, I believe, are 13.5 favorites in this game. So not much to say. The over-under is 43.5. I think the Rams could easily put up 30 points themselves. The Jets probably try to get on the board a little bit. You can take the over and the Rams on this one. 13.5. I definitely like those odds there. So, all right. It looks like I have my my analyst in the room here, Jack Ridenour. He's the host of the Riding the Pine podcast. Make sure you guys check him out. We're going to add him to the screen here. Jack, are you with me?
I am, Ryan. Are you with me?
Yes, sir. How you doing, man?
I'm great, my friend. Thanks for having me on today.
Oh, absolutely, man. I just wanted to get you on. I wanted to, get your thoughts on some of these primetime games that are going to be taking place between tomorrow and Monday night. So let's just get straight into it, shall we?
Absolutely. Actually, before we get into it, I have to ask, as a big Cowboys fan, how do you feel the game being flexed? How do you personally feel about it?
I think it's a good thing. I know that sounds weird. I'm disappointed from a fan standpoint because I love to watch any of my teams, whether it's basketball, baseball, football. I like to watch my teams in prime time, but I do like the fact that it's kind of, I wouldn't say like a wake up call, but it does kind of send like a message to Jerry Jones, like, yeah, you are the Cowboys, but we'll flex you out and put the Browns and the Giants on just to kind of rub it in your face a little bit.
Right.
And also on my last episode on my podcast, I talked about, or on Monday, I believe, I talked about how Dak Prescott can use that as leverage, because I felt like if Dak was playing in this game, regardless of their record being the same, I still think they keep the Cowboys on that game just because Dak Prescott is kind of like must-see TV. That's just my opinion.
No, I totally agree with you. That's good. Hey, that's a good point.
Yep. So hopefully he can take that into the contract situation. But Jerry Jones is Jerry Jones. And he even went online or on an interview and even said that it was okay because he said some crazy thing that he would prefer them to be like on the 1:00 game on a Sunday. And I'm like, dude, you're out of your mind because you want to be on prime time.
Anybody wants to.
Anybody.
Right. Even if you're the Jets. If you're prime time in the Jets, that's more money in your pocket.
Exactly. And he's so oblivious that it's like, you just got to laugh. And is it a big message being sent to him? No, because he doesn't even understand what that even means. He still thinks it's a great position for them to be playing at the 1:00 spot. And it's like, and it's funny if they got flexed for like the Kansas City, New Orleans game, then I would be like, okay, I get that. But the Giants and the Browns, like, really? So honestly, I thought the NFL actually made a mistake. They probably should have flexed the Kansas City, New Orleans game. In all honesty, I think that would have been the better matchup for people to watch. Don't get me wrong. The Browns and the Giants game, it does have some playoff implications, but in the end, it's the Browns and the Giants.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, absolutely.
But I appreciate you having. Oh, there you go. I got.
Yeah,
get you on
I had a little
now?
bit of technical difficulties.
Oh, no worries, man.
I had somebody text me and say, "Hey, you're not on right now." I was like, "Oh, okay." So figured it out.
No worries. So we're gonna get straight into it. We got a game tomorrow. We got the Denver Broncos heading over. The Denver Broncos are at home against the Buffalo Bills. Bills are -6 favorites. Bills coming off a really good win last week Sunday night against the Steelers. As you guys can see there are some stats right there. Jack, what are your thoughts on this game?
Honestly, I really like the Buffalo Bills in this one because, watching that game last week against the Steelers, for one thing, was, they're going up against one of the top defenses in the league. The Steelers have the third-ranked defense in the league, first-ranked defense in the league, something like that. And Josh Allen really made them look like Swiss cheese, in all honesty.
He
and
did.
it was kind of shocking to see that. And I actually said on my show this past week, the Steelers are a team that I'm very worried about because a couple games that they've lost, I feel like they definitely could have won. I know that they've had, I think it was 12 games in or 3 games in 12 days or whatever it might have been, so that might have been a
Right.
factor. But the Bills have been playing really well. Honestly, I've always been on the Josh Allen train this year. I have him actually on one of my fantasy teams, and I think he's, in my opinion, if they finish really strong, they finish out well, and they go far in the playoffs, I could see him winning the MVP. So I would definitely go for the Bills in this one.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, Denver, they've had some nice little wins. I think last week they
They
went
beat
and
the
played
Panthers, right?
Carolina,
Yeah.
beat the Panthers, which is, I mean, the Panthers are not the greatest team, but they're a feisty team. Drew Lock played really well. They probably, and they were in that Kansas City game a few weeks ago on Sunday night. But at the end of the day, I think the Buffalo Bills are probably the second best team in the AFC, and I think that they would be ready to play the Chiefs again in a rematch. Because I feel they played earlier this year. It was like a weird Monday night game or Monday game. It was like 10 a.m. or something like that.
Yeah, I think it was a game that got rescheduled because something happened with COVID, and
Yes,
then it kind of
yes,
snowballed from there.
yes. And to piggyback on your Josh Allen thoughts, I was not a believer of him.
A lot of
Early
people
on.
weren't. Hey, listen, in my fantasy league, I had a lot of weird looks when I drafted him, and I said, you know what? That guy took Buffalo to their first playoff game in
Yeah,
over 20 years, and he could take them to their first champion or a division championship in over 25 years. So I
absolutely.
think he's
I'm
going
on
to
the
be
Josh Allen bandwagon now.
yes.
And it's funny because I live in Las Vegas, and for those of you who don't know, UNLV, the Running Rebels, they play in the Mountain West Conference, and the Mountain West Conference also includes Wyoming. So I've seen Josh Allen quite a bit, and maybe it's just because of the talent that he had around him in Wyoming. I didn't really get to see his full talent on display. And when the Bills drafted him, I said, okay, well, he's a big, sturdy, strong guy. He can handle the weather in Orchard Park and, upstate New York, but I don't know how he's going to work out. But the way McDermott and the GM there, they've cultivated his skills, and adding Stephon Diggs really complements what he does well. I like the Bills in this game as well too. So Bills. I think Bills will cover easy peasy for the Bills to move forward and improve to 11-3. Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. So moving on, we got the next game. See if we got any comments. And make sure if you're in the room, man, drop some comments, leave some questions for us, man. We'd appreciate it. I know Jack and I, we won't have any problems answering any of your questions. That's what we're here to do. Am I right to say that, Jack?
Absolutely. I love answering any questions.
Perfect. All right. So we're going to be moving on. We got the next Saturday game. You got the Green Bay Packers at home against the struggling Carolina Panthers. I got some thoughts on this game. The Packers are -8.5. Over and under is 51.5. I mean, on paper, this game should be Packers all the way. And really, that's it. That's
Yeah.
it. They're starting to play better. I still question their physicality moving forward against a team that maybe runs the ball. But Carolina, like I said, a feisty team. Actually, with Carolina, I would rather see them start PJ. What was his name?
PJ Walker.
I would
PJ
rather
Walker
see
from
him
the
play.
XFL. Yep. He's been
I would
great.
rather see him play. What do you think about this matchup?
I mean, in all honesty, I'm a huge green and gold fan. I've been a Packers fan since I was a kid, so I always go with my Packers in this one. But I always tell people, especially this year with this Panthers team, if they hadn't suffered so many injuries with Christian McCaffrey and Teddy Bridgewater being in and out of the lineup, I think this 4-9 record would be flipped, or at least an 8-3 record, or an 8. I mean, they would not be 4-9. I think they've got a lot of talent. I love Curtis Samuel. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Robbie Anderson. I actually have Robbie Anderson on one of my fantasy teams, and he's been a quiet emergence as one of the best receivers in the league. And I think what really benefited him was leaving the Jets. I've always said that's where you go, your career dreams go to kind of die, unfortunately.
Right.
And so I'm a huge fan of Robbie Anderson, but I definitely have to go with the Packers in this one. And like you said, though, I do agree. I personally, worry a little bit and wonder about their defense on the ground. I mean, you saw right there in that one game against the Vikings, Dalvin Cook beat them. The Vikings didn't beat them. Dalvin Cook beat them single-handedly. I mean, it was kind of embarrassing to watch. And obviously, you lose Blake Martinez, so there's a little bit of a hole in the linebacker position. But I think that for the most part, if they can still rely on Aaron Rodgers' offense, if guys stay healthy, if Adams can stay healthy, I think they'll be fine. I really do, because Aaron's been playing great all year. I'm a huge Aaron Jones fan, too. I think we finally have a dynamic running game with him and Jamal Williams sharing carries. I think that's something that they really have kind of lacked in the last few years. I mean, Eddie Lacy was all right for a year, but then he gained weight, left, and there was kind of, back to square one for us. But I definitely have the Packers in this one.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the Packers should be the overwhelming favorite in this game. They're playing at home. It's kind of like it's a primetime game. They're the last game of the day on a Saturday. And this is the time of year I really love because you get these sneaky games that come up on Saturday. I was talking to a friend today and I was telling him, yeah, there's some games Saturday. And he was like, college? I was like, no, NFL, dude. Like, this is it. We're making our push towards the playoffs, and they usually have like 2 weekends back to back where these Saturday games kind of sneak up on you. I mean, I'm not a favorite. I'm not in favor of the actual matchups because
right.
If Carolina was better, maybe, but it's still NFL football. You get to see Aaron Rodgers, who I believe is in the running for the MVP, up there with Patrick Mahomes. Even Josh Allen. Stephon Diggs probably should be in that talk too as well.
I'm going to throw out another name, Derrick Henry. I think Derrick Henry should be an MVP candidate. If not, I
totally agree with you.
If he rushes for 2,000 yards, he should win it.
You're right. I think he's only like 500 yards away, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. So I definitely share those sentiments with you on that one. But like I said, Aaron Rodgers, he's not like my most favorite player to like follow because of his surly attitude, I guess. But
right.
but his play on the field speaks for itself. And I mean, it's Green Bay. It's exactly. Lambeau Field. It's 8:15. It's Title Town. Get your bratwurst, get your IPA or whatever they drink out there in Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Best.
Milwaukee's best. There you go.
Best,
I should know that. I actually spent time in that area, so I should know better than that.
Milwaukee's a great place. I've been a Wisconsin fan since I was a kid. So Brewers,
nice.
Bucks, Badgers, Packers. That's where I swing.
Nice.
Yep.
All right. This next game, this is going to be a fun one.
I'm glad you pulled this one up.
Watching the Cardinals in State Farm Stadium. I don't know, something about it. Like, I like watching games there. I don't care who they're playing. But this one is really interesting because, number one, Jalen Hurts makes his second start. And he's playing against, I guess, a former Sooner, the guy that he took over the reins for after Kyler Murray left. The Cardinals are kind of struggling a little bit. Did they win? I think they won their last game against the Giants, kind of convincingly, I would say. And obviously the Eagles won a really good game at home against the Saints. Do you think Jalen Hurts is going to have the same type of success Sunday when he takes the field in Arizona?
I think so. Absolutely. I mean, the Cardinals are 2-5 since their bye week. I mean, you can clearly tell just looking at their numbers, looking at their schedule, there's been a downward trend and it's trending at the wrong time. Right. I thought Hurts looked incredible. Honestly, if he has another great game, I think the Eagles in this offseason, I mean, if they're able to make it to the playoffs somehow, some way in that atrocious conference that they're in, if they're able to make it to the playoffs, I would be shocked. But going into this offseason, they're going to have some choices I think they need to make.
Yeah.
Do they move on from Carson Wentz? If so, what are you going to do with him? I mean, that's a lot of money that they've been paying him. I personally think Doug Peterson should be fired. I thought that he was.
Too.
I mean, for a coach that's won a Super Bowl within the last 5 years, he's by far the worst coach, in my opinion. I think that he's out of the guys that have won it in the last 5 years. It's so inconsistent. One game they're like, oh my gosh, they're back, the Philadelphia Eagles from 2018, and then the next game it's like, well, should Doug Peterson should he be the next guy gone? I think that Jalen Hurts is going to be the answer. I will say though, I will give one benefit of the doubt to Carson Wentz. He doesn't have a whole lot of weapons, and I think that is starting to come to light a little bit. But also, in addition, he's not one of these quarterbacks like a Tom Brady or an Aaron Rodgers that can work with no-name receivers. That's why they're so great, and I just think that is the problem right now, is that he can't work with those guys. And I think that they should go with Jalen Hurts. I mean, it's dual threat quarterbacks is kind of the new trend, being able to run and throw, and he can do both. And I mean, I don't have any problem with a quarterback that's throwing for over 150 yards and then running for over 150 yards.
Right.
That's 300 yards no matter what way you look at it. So I would definitely, honestly, in my opinion, I would go with the Eagles in this one.
Me too. And actually, that's who I was going to lean to. So let me kind of just set the scene here on what I think about both franchises in this game. So with the Eagles, I agree with everything that you said. They do have big decisions to make in this offseason. They paid Carson Wentz a boatload of money, and I think he's on the hook until 2024, if I'm not mistaken.
It's a while.
And that's a lot of money. Now, there are some potential teams out there that can trade for him. One that comes to mind, the Indianapolis Colts. And why is that? The head coach, who he won a Super Bowl with, or not won a Super Bowl with, but technically, well, I guess technically, right? But Frank Reich was the mastermind of the offense the year they won the Super Bowl. And since he's left, that offense has not looked the same since. As far as their talent player personnel, they haven't done a great job drafting. Now, they did find some guys. I'll give Miles Sanders, like, where did he come from? I know he's a Penn State guy.
Yep.
But it's, so that's a good find. But as far as the perimeter players, I mean, Alshon Jeffrey, he's a shell of himself. Deshaun Jackson, he's always hurt now. They drafted the Rieger kid out of TCU when they had opportunity to get DK Metcalf. They whiffed on him. Their offensive line is in a shambles. They cut Jason Peters to only bring him back later on. Yeah. So, but even after all that said, moving on to the Cardinals, I feel like the Cardinals, I've always said this, even the beginning of the season, the Cardinals were like one of those exciting hobby teams. And what I mean by a hobby team is like, oh, they're fun to work with. They look cool. They're in Arizona. They got Cliff Kingsbury, who looks like a Calvin Klein model, everything like that. But they're only going to go as far as Kyler Murray will take them right now. And he's hurt. I think something's wrong with his shoulder still. And since he's been injured, they have not been the same. And that's why I'll take the Eagles, because Jalen Hurts has brought some energy and some life to that Eagles locker room. And now, right now, they don't have to really worry about, well, how do you feel about Carson Wentz? Well, there's nothing much to say because he's not playing. So I will take the Eagles +6 in this game. I think it's going to be tight, but I do like the Eagles in this game overall for sure. All right, so this is the game. This is the one that everyone's going to be locked in for tomorrow.
Primetime matchup.
Exactly. And I really wish this was the Sunday night game, because this is the type of game I want to start drinking all day and be buzzed and be ready to go for this game.
100%.
So sorry if there's kids listening to this game. I'm sorry. Clutch Sports does drink a little bit, but I do drink responsibly, and I never drink and drive. So anyway, that's my disclaimer. So anyway, Drew Brees is starting. So I guess that could be good news or bad news. What are your thoughts on that?
I honestly think that's great news. And what I look at is Alvin Kamara's production since Drew Brees went down. When you look at the amount of catches he was getting before Drew Brees was injured, it was around 6 to 7 a game. When Taysom Hill is in, it's 1 a game. So that is a huge difference, especially for, in my opinion, the best catching back in the NFL, and one of the top running backs in the NFL too. And I think that if you put Taysom Hill in the quarterback, I think I've kind of coined a term of just get by. He's kind of one of those just get by guys. He's just good enough for the time being, and then that's about it. But now you've got Drew Brees in. I do wonder about his health. I heard very good reports this week about him in practice. Apparently, he was coming back stronger than ever. I didn't realize how many ribs he broke. Apparently, he broke half of his ribs.
Yeah, 11, I believe.
That's absurd. I don't know how he – I didn't mean to make a joke when I said this on my podcast, but I said you shouldn't crack a joke around Drew Brees because he probably wouldn't like it, wouldn't be able to laugh. Yeah, just a little Friday humor. But anyway, I definitely love – here's the thing, right? The Saints have a great rush defense, but they're going up against a team that virtually doesn't really need a rushing game at all, right? Getting Le'Veon Bell, I don't really know what the scheme was with that. I didn't really
neither.
He hasn't really done anything. I don't know how you feel about Allaire. I think that Edwards-Helaire is good. I don't think he's as good as the hype has projected him to be. Honestly, I agree. He was a first-round draft pick in my fantasy draft, both leagues, and I think he's been average. I would not want him at my running back 1, but that's just me. I think that it's Patrick Mahomes, it's Tyreek Hill, it's Travis Kelce, and it's kind of that big 3 right there. They work out of that. And I think that the Saints, they're going to, how is Drew Brees transitioning back going to kind of, like you said, maybe throw off the rhythm of things, or think it's going to, I think for the most part, though, in my opinion, I originally had gone with Chiefs in this one because of Taysom Hill starting. Now I'm not totally confident in that. I might stay with the Chiefs, but I think it's going to be a closer game than originally. When Taysom Hill was in, I just felt like he kind of got away with a couple things. Like, they played against the Denver Broncos when they had
and they played the Falcons twice.
Yeah, and the Denver Broncos had a practice squad wide receiver coming up and being a quarterback. So, I think that he was glorified a little bit too much. I don't think he really had any. If he had gone up against the Chiefs and he had done kind of like what Jalen Hurts did last week and gone up against a good team and performed well, maybe a different conversation. But I'd go still with the Chiefs, but it's going to be a close game.
Oh, I absolutely agree. I kind of did like what Taysom brought, but then when you think about it, you look at the last 4 or 5 games who they played, they played teams that were not even in playoff contention.
Right.
And you lost to the Eagles last week. It was actually a bad loss. I mean, if you really think about it, it's not time to hit the panic button for the Saints, but it was one of those games you're like, I can see how the Eagles won. New quarterback, a mobile quarterback. No one's ever seen him play. This game will be close against the Chiefs, though. I think I'm going to take the Chiefs just because they get up for games like this. Now, they may go down 20-0, but we all know they can score 30 points unanswered. I mean, you look at their playoff run from last year. You know, they were down in every playoff game that they were in, even the Super Bowl. So once with an offense like that, I feel like, can they turn it on and off? Yes.
Right.
Is that a good thing? No, because eventually it catches up to you. And this could be a type of game that it could catch up to them. But if we were in a normal situation with fans and everything, I would probably be more inclined to take the Saints just because of the atmosphere in the Mercedes Superdome.
Right.
But because there's really no fan crowd or crowds or noise level, I'm still going to take the Chiefs in a close one. I think the Chiefs will win by 1. They won't cover. I know right now it's like -3. And I think it's dropped down actually.
Yeah.
Over and under, I will take the over on this game easily.
Oh, I'd hammer the over. Hammer the over. Oh my gosh, it's gonna be a shootout for sure.
And in regards to Edwards-Helaire and the Le'Veon Bell situation, you're right. I don't know, and I question their reasoning behind taking Le'Veon Bell because they don't run the football.
No,
They don't run the football particularly a lot. They don't really use running backs in the screen. Well, I guess they do use the running backs in the passing game quite a bit. But Edwards-Helaire I think he's just a product of a really good system. I liked him in college. I thought he was nice. But I will say this about Kansas City. When they decide to run the ball, they can do it. Mm-hmm. They just don't do it. Because, prime example, when they played the Bills, I know this is a while ago. It was cold. It was rainy. They ran the ball with quite some success, and they were able to pound on the Bills. And I've seen them do that on several occasions just because I feel like they're flexing their muscle. But we all know this team is driven by the perimeter players and Tyreek Hill, Kelsey, Mecole Hardman, and Patrick Mahomes. But you take the Saints. I'm going to go with the Chiefs in this game, but I do think it's going to be close, and I'll take the over on this game all the way. All right, we're almost out of here, man. We got the game that was flexed into the Browns
and the New York
Giants. Yeah, very interesting flex. I don't know. Like I said again, I don't know what the NFL was thinking. It's like, let's go Browns and Giants for Sunday night instead of the Chiefs and the Saints. But anyway,
you know what it is? It's Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Because it's not even it. And honestly, I have a hot take about Baker Mayfield before we jump into it. And I think if his talent doesn't continue to get better, now he has played better, and I think there's a theory that OBJ actually hinders their success.
Me too. I agree.
I think he should be off the team. I think that if Baker Mayfield continues to trend in kind of this average form, I think he peters out and he gets into acting. He's more entertaining than he is a good football player, in my opinion.
Right. Absolutely. No, I definitely agree. I mean, the Browns right now, I guess they had interviewed Baker. I don't know if you caught the Monday night game. I think Keyshawn Johnson had interviewed him prior to the game, and he asked that question: do you think that they're better off without him? And he gave this answer like, well, we've always been getting better, and the injury was all circumstantial. And let's just be real.
Yeah,
they're better without him because you know why? The system is better. Kevin Stefanski has brought that same architectural type offense, running the ball, play action, creating easy throws for your quarterbacks. It's exactly what Kirk Cousins has been doing, even now still. And that's why Baker has improved. Is he a guy that's going to go out and just win you a game? I don't think so. But he definitely, if he stays in the system a little bit longer, he'll benefit from it for sure. And as far as OBJ is concerned, he's really good trade bait. Somebody would take him right now easily. I had this debate on my show the other night. Is he a top 5 wide receiver? I say no. Maybe in his prime he was, but moving forward, do you think he's a top 5 receiver if he's healthy?
I would say not right now. I don't know if he's necessarily out of his prime though. I think what it is with him half the time is it's the mental part of it. I think that he thinks he's way better than he actually is, and I think that he tries to play outside of himself a little bit too much. Yeah. And I think he gets a little bit too ahead of himself. I will say, I mean, if he was on a team that had a guy like Tom Brady or a guy like Aaron Rodgers or a guy like Patrick Mahomes, I think we would be having a very different conversation about him. I think, again, you have to remember who his quarterback was before, Eli Manning. I mean, I don't know how you feel about Eli Manning. I always felt like he was above average. I think he was a little bit hyped up. I mean, he was good, but he wasn't that good, I didn't think.
Right.
And so I think obviously a better option than Baker Mayfield. I also think why Baker Mayfield might be playing better is because I think there's this weird like unwritten kind of pressure that OBJ kind of gives off over Baker Mayfield. Like, give me the ball, give me the ball, give me the
Right.
ball. And I think that Baker is more of a, like you said, a system guy. He wants to play around. I mean, they've already started to show kind of this creative play call.
Yeah.
I mean, Jarvis Landry's been throwing the ball more. I mean,
Right.
literally, you have wide receivers throwing the ball sometimes better than Baker Mayfield is. So
Yeah.
I think that's why, like you said, it's a big system thing. And not to mention when you've got a two-headed monster in the backfield with Hunt and Chubb, that makes your life so much easier. Honestly, I mean, having Kareem Hunt as a quote unquote backup, I mean, I don't think he's a backup, but in this situation, I guess he is.
Right.
You are very lucky, very, very lucky. I think you are very fortunate. And honestly, if I'm the Browns, maybe like you said, using OBJ as trade bait, maybe even using Kareem Hunt as trade bait. I mean, you obviously still have Nick Chubb. I can't remember Dearness Johnson. I think their third.
Yeah,
back.
he's there still. Yeah.
Yeah, he's all right. You know, I mean, he's somebody you could maybe develop. But if you've got Kareem Hunt and OBJ as pieces to trade, I mean, what do you think you could get with him, right? I mean, I think you could get a lot with both of them.
Oh yeah. I mean, OBJ right now is, would believe, at least worth a 2.
Oh, yeah.
1 and maybe a 1 depending on what team, but for sure 2. Kareem Hunt probably a 2 as well. I would definitely get some trade collateral for sure for either one of those guys, because like you can live without OBJ. Maybe Kareem Hunt you keep because Nick Chubb maybe goes down, and that happened earlier this year a few times where Nick Chubb had to, he went down. Kareem Hunt stepped in, but you still got Njoku, Austin Hooper,
Yeah.
Landry's still there, and there's another guy that they got. I forgot his name. Who's not bad. I mean, but for what they do, it's perfect for what they do. If anything, they need to improve their offensive line a little bit better,
Yeah.
and maybe get some secondary help. But other than that, I mean, the Browns are kind of, are they? I'm going to give them a little bit more credit because they're winning games. That game against Baltimore, their defense kind of got shredded, but it's Lamar Jackson. He's able to move around and do whatever. As far as this game's concerned, Sunday night, the Giants, that was a bad loss. I believe Daniel Jones is still hurt.
I think he is. They're still with Colt McCoy, right?
Yeah, and I think he's starting. I don't know if Daniel Jones is. I know he sat out of practice. I guess that he has a calf injury, and so I don't know if that works well for them. Maybe Colt McCoy is better than Daniel Jones at this point. I'll take the Browns in this one. I think they won't cover. I think they'll win by 3, and I'll take the under on this one. Oh, all right. You still with me?
I'm still
there
with
go.
you.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that.
No, you're
all right,
good.
next game. We got the last game, Monday Night Football, last game of the week, Week 15. Steelers going to Paul Brown Stadium against the burrowless Bengals. Try saying that 5 times. This is be real. The Steelers, they're struggling, right? They've been exposed, or they've been struggling the last couple weeks. This is one of those games. I coach football. I've been around a lot of games. I've been on bad teams. I've been on good teams. This is the type of game which you call a get right game. What I mean by that is that the Bengals are no good. The Cowboys look like the 95 the Cowboys, the way they ran into Paul Brown last week and destroyed the Bengals. The Steelers, one thing I will say about the Steelers, they got guts, they got grit. Even though they lost to the Bills, it could have been a lot worse than what it was. Mike Tomlin will have these guys ready. Are they a Super Bowl contender anymore? No, I don't think so, because they can't run the ball. And you're asking Big Ben, an older quarterback, to sit back there and throw 40 times a game. That's for as long as I've been alive. There's one thing I know. It was 2 things I know about the Pittsburgh Steelers. They've only had 3 coaches their whole existence, and they run the football. In any era, that's what they do. And this new Steelers, where they don't run the ball, that's kind of weird to me. And they've been destroyed by a lot of injuries. And I know people say, well, those injuries happen in the NFL, and I get all that. But their injuries have really devastated one group, and that's the linebacking crew. When you guys got, Bud Dupree goes down, Bush goes down, Spillane goes down, and only really healthy linebacker that's left is TJ Watt. and other than that, I mean, it's hard for them. So I don't think they'll cover, because -13 is a lot.
Yeah.
But I think they'll win. And I'll take the under in this game as well, either too. What do you think?
Yeah, honestly, I am very worried about the Steelers. And hey, I live in Pittsburgh. I've lived here for 6 years. I've got some of my best friends that live here. I've got family that live here. My girlfriend's from here. So I have a lot
Nice.
of personal ties around here, but I will be the most honest person about the black and gold. And I'm really worried about them. Like you said, I don't think they're a Super Bowl contending team anymore. I think like you said, this is definitely a get right game. This is a game where they need to win by at least, in my opinion, 2 scores. I think to really feel
Right.
good about themselves.
Right.
I don't understand, like you said, why they are going away from the run game. I felt James Conner has honestly played better this year than he's played in the last year or two. This is kind of the pre-injury ridden James Conner that we were used to seeing at Pitt and then his rookie
Right.
year at the Steelers. And for the life of me, I don't understand why they don't go to McFarland more. I love him. Out of the guy from Maryland,
Yeah.
great job. He's fast. He can catch out of the backfield. He's athletic, got great footwork. For whatever reason, they have this weird fascination with Benny Snell. And I don't have a problem with Benny Snell. I think that Benny Snell is a situational back. You put him in at a
Right.
3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, short yardage situations, goal line situations. You don't put him in there on a 1st and 10 or a 1st and 15.
No.
You know what I
No.
mean? You
That's
got
not his game.
no, it's not. And I just, for whatever reason, they have completely gone away from the running game. I think it was, I can't remember if it was the Buffalo game or the game before, but they didn't even have 50 yards on the ground.
No. No.
So
They
that's
didn't.
right there. That's telling you, like, what are you doing in play call wise? Now, I will say also, I think that Big Ben, I saw a stat. He's actually thrown the ball, I think, the most in his career leading up to this point, but he's got, I think, way down the road the amount of yards that he should have,
Right.
the amount of passes that he's thrown. And it's because, honestly, the drops,
Yeah.
before the Buffalo game, they had 12 drops in 2 games. That is an
Wow.
alarmingly high
That's a
number
lot
of
of
drops,
drops.
a lot of drops for NFL wide receivers. Sure, every year you're going to have, I'm sure Devontae Adams has had maybe 2 drops. DeAndre Hopkins has had maybe
Mhm.
2 or 3 drops. But having 12 drops in 2 games, who knows how many drops they have in the entire season? It's probably leaps and bounds ahead from everybody else. And I just worry about, in terms of Big Ben's arm, because he's had elbow problems in the past, coming off an elbow injury from last year. How's that going to affect?
Right.
Can Deontay Johnson step up a little bit more? Eric Ebron, I'm looking to see him because he was a great ad for them. I
Yeah.
remember when he was signed, and I said that's going to be a great 2 tight end system. Him and Vance McDonald. I think McDonald's been in and out with some COVID
Yeah, he
issues.
has. Yep.
Yeah, so I mean, it's kind of been. I mean, this has been a weird year for everybody, right? I mean,
It
there's no
is.
way around that. But I think that they need to get a lot better with, in terms of just going back to the basics. Little short yardage passes, slowly moving down the field. I was initially kind of a proponent of them airing the ball out, but now I'm starting
Me
to see
too.
that is not something they should do
No.
because it's just not working right now. And it's unfortunate because they came out to such a hot start. They had some great games, some quality wins, but you could start to tell, that Baltimore Ravens game, I think, was the beginning of the end for them. That was
Yes.
an ugly game. It was
And
a
they
win.
struggled.
Struggled really bad, and I mean both teams did, right? And in all honesty, for the game against Buffalo, it was a 9-7 game going to halftime. They
Yeah.
were not in out of it completely.
No, no, you're right.
And I think that's the problem, is that their defense is doing so much that they can, but it's the offense that is kind of, a little bit in and out of it. And I just don't really know, if that's really going to, I think, pan out in the long run. I think
Oh,
that
absolutely.
I think they'll be good, no question. I think that they will definitely, finish strong, but I just worry that, they're, and again, honestly, and this is another thing that I made a comment about when they were still undefeated. Why didn't you just say, what? I think personally, undefeated seasons are overrated. I mean, you could ask the New England Patriots. I
Right.
guarantee you they would probably trade a couple losses for a Super Bowl win that year.
Right.
Same thing with going to basketball. Golden State Warriors. I'm sure that they would trade that 73-9 record for that
For a
NBA
championship.
100%. So I think, what? Forget the undefeated. Just lose 2 games. Like,
Get
actually
it out your system
get it out your
yep.
system. Sit Big Ben. Get Mason Rudolph some more reps. Because in all honesty, here's the other thing, and I'm a big long-term guy.
Right.
When Big Ben leaves, and I've had this conversation with friends, it's going to be a very weird day in Pittsburgh. But what's going to be
Oh.
weirder is how Mason Rudolph is going to
Right.
perform. I mean, he's had some experience, he's had some reps, but it's not enough to say, hey, I'm ready to take over for Big Ben. I think it's going to be, once he retires, it's going to be a long time until they kind of get back to normal, I think.
Yeah, unless they hit it big in the draft or free agency. Before the season started, I thought Cam Newton should have went to Pittsburgh. instead
heard a
of
lot of
going
people
to
say that. And actually, I've got a very interesting hypothetical to
Sure.
throw at you. I have a buddy of mine, he threw it out to me. He said, what if Dak Prescott's not happy in Dallas and he winds up in Pittsburgh? And
I
then
might be a Pittsburgh fan.
that would be interesting. And
I'm gonna say that right there.
Hey, I mean, I think Dak Prescott is in a very interesting situation
He
because
is.
for this year, I think there was a lot of people that said, is he really worth all this money? And I will raise my hand and say, I was one of those people that said, is he really worth all this money? Now that he's not there, we see the impact he has. It's kind of scary.
He
And
is.
I think that if honestly, I mean, who knows what kind of season he was going to have? He was having a very good season. If he had continued to stay healthy, he might be in the MVP conversation.
Right. I mean, he's still thrown for more yards than some quarterbacks in the NFL that's been starting the whole year. So that's crazy to me. And I was on the boat too. I didn't think he was worth the money that he wanted, but now looking at everything, you got to pay the dude, man. You really got to pay the guy. And honestly, I love Dak Prescott. I don't know if you know his story, all the stuff that he's been through. He's a fighter. He's always had to go through some type of hardship, whether it's his, the getting knocked out in spring break, when he was in college, his mother passing away, and now obviously his leg breaking, in dramatic fashion on national television. And now he's probably going to they're probably going to end up tagging him again, and he's going to have to prove to the Cowboys that he's worth the money. And I think he'll bounce back for sure. Quick story about Pittsburgh. One of my favorite movies of all time is Making All the Right Moves, I think, with Tom Cruise.
I think
I've
I've
heard that movie.
I've heard of that movie. Yeah, I've never seen it. But there's a lot of great movies that have been filmed in Pittsburgh.
It's a football movie. Again, Tom Cruise played this character. He's like a senior in high school. That he went to Ampike High School. I don't know if that's even a real high school in Pittsburgh, but it's one of my favorites. A classic. If you have ever a chance, pull it up, man. It's a really good movie. But other than that, Jack, man, appreciate you stopping by and taking the time, man. Let everyone know who you are and where we can catch you at.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm Jack Ridenour, host of Ride in the Pine, creator of Ride in the Pine, just a sports podcast talking all sports, basketball, baseball, football, you name it. I talk about it. I really like to emphasize guests. So I always have a guest come on every single episode. New episodes come out Tuesdays and Fridays. I got a new episode out today with the former starting quarterback at Duquesne. Actually, fun fact about him, he actually was the first quarterback to register a win in the Lane Kiffin era at FAU. So kind of an interesting story. And then he actually wound up transferring to Duquesne. First year there, they win an NEC championship. Really nice. Cool. So go check that out. I've got it out on Apple, Spotify, YouTube now. I've got a YouTube channel. So go check that out. Got some new kind of content coming out also. But yeah, just big sports guy. I've loved sports since I was a kid. I've loved talking about sports. I love broadcasting. And that's where it's kind of brought me. Cool, man. Well, I appreciate you, man. Stay safe, and we'll be in touch soon, man. Take care of yourself, all right? Yeah, I appreciate you having me on, Ryan. Thanks, man. You're welcome. Have a good weekend. Bye-bye. All right, well, there you have it. I want to thank Jack Ridenour, the host of the Riding the Pine podcast, for stopping in and breaking down those primetime games for me. They had a great time. For everyone that was in the comments section, appreciate you guys. Sandy Marie, Marianne, DeGrano, you guys are leaving some great comments out there. Appreciate you guys. Make sure you guys tune in to all of my episodes from Mondays and Wednesdays on my Clutch Sports Talk podcast. I think moving forward now on Fridays, I'm going to do my prediction show, maybe with special guests or just me sometimes. So we'll just have to wait and see. But if you have any comments or suggestions, please hit me up on Instagram at theclutch.sports.talk, as well as my YouTube. That's where you can find the rest of my content as well. Other than that, man, hope you guys enjoy this week 15 predictions of the NFL. Get you guys ready. Stay safe. Happy holidays. This is me, your boy Ryan, a.k.a. Clutch Sports Talk. NFL Primetime, never settle till the work is done. Let's go. Clutch Sports Talk NFL Primetime, presented by All Pro Digital Sports, the future in sports media content. Let's go.